Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today's second video, doing European Outlook for today's second video. So it's also on Thursday, having a look at weather for next week, 10 days for Europe, and I shall get on that for you very shortly. Just say about the first video release today was our nice little 7 AM upload, just having a look at weather for the next 2 or 3 days. And we've got a 10 to 14 day coming up for you later on. This afternoon. That will include all of the regular features, of course. Please like, share, and subscribe on all of the videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Hope you're having a lovely Thursday. Right, so here we go, then. Starting off with situation across Europe today. So we've got a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia and Northern Europe. It's putting down a cold northerly wind across Northern and Western Europe. How often have we had that over the past few weeks and months? We've got relatively weak pressure through the Mediterranean as well, so maybe a bit showery through Med. Let's have a look at the upper air temperatures. So they're looking cold across Northern Europe, and usually so. Cold air into Scandinavia, also down into parts of the UK and Ireland, into the Low Countries, northern France, much of Germany. Usual places where it's been pretty cold over the past few weeks, it remains cold. Warmest upper air temperatures are down through the Mediterranean, particularly through Spain, but also extending out through the Med. It looks pretty warm down there, but we have got some heavy showers across North Africa, just moving out into the Mediterranean Sea. Otherwise, it's actually reasonably dry through the Med from Spain and Portugal in west, right way over to Greece in the east, despite that weak pressure that we have down there. It's reasonably dry through Med. Going northwards, so much more unsettled there. Heavy rain through France, turning to snow, of course, as it bumps into cold air over the Alps. Then moving into southern parts of Germany, got outbreaks of rain through there, into the Low Countries also. Quite a bit of wet weather. Extending northwards in Scandinavia, showery conditions. Some of those will be wintry, again, with the air being so cold, and extending in towards Baltic Sea areas as well. And rather showery through Ireland and the UK too today. Temperature-wise, it look like that. So coldest across Scandinavia, but pretty chilly really across most of northern Western Europe. Certainly well below average. Any heat, if you want hot weather, you really got to go down to southern parts of Spain and down to North Africa, and also probably over towards Greece and Turkey. It is reasonably warm through the central bowl of the Med. It looks like the hottest temperature today, probably approaching upper 20s Celsius for southern Spain down there, and also in the eastern part of the Med. Right, through to tomorrow, we keep that trough low pressure across the northern parts of Europe. A little bit of a transient ridge is building up into western parts of Europe, but only ahead of this deepening area of low pressure out in the Atlantic. The upper air temperature continues to look cold for northern Europe, hottest in southern Europe, particularly eastern and southern parts of Spain, and down into parts of Greece, Turkey too. So there'll be further showers through central and northern and eastern parts of Europe. There could be some longer spells of rain mixed in. They'll turn increasingly to snow and sleet again as we push further northwards in towards the far north of Europe. Actually, western parts of Europe are turning dry, so it looks dry through Spain and Portugal. Many parts of France are turning drier tomorrow as well. And not as many showers for the UK and Ireland too, because it's only ahead of this next massive rain that is out in the Atlantic. Most parts of the Med, again, are looking reasonably dry, though there could be a shower somewhere around the Côte d'Azur. Temperature tomorrow look like that. So again, hottest across southern parts of Spain and into the eastern part of the Med. Pretty warm through the Med, not doing too bad there. Northwards again, it is much, much colder across most central, northern and west parts of Europe. Not as cold across France due to the fact there's a little bit more in way of sunshine over that little ridge. That ridge does not last very long, so we go into Saturday. We've got a deepening area of low pressure in the Atlantic. That's pushing much milder air, yes, in from the central part of the Atlantic Ocean, the southwest winds, but it's also bringing outbreaks of rain into northwestern Europe with it. At the same time, that transient ridge will start to move over towards the east side of Europe, and still looking pretty cold and showery under that trough of low pressure there for Scandinavia. Our air temperatures are cold in the far north of Europe. They're getting warmer though across the western part of Europe. So heat building through Spain and pushing up in towards southern parts of France. Becoming much milder for northern France into Ireland and the UK as well. Same time, some east and southeast parts of Europe, particularly around Balkans, may be starting to cool down a little bit. There's a lot of dry weather under that area of high pressure on Saturday. So still showery and some of them wintry across Scandinavia and down to the northeast of Europe. Some heavy thunderstorms around the Black Sea. Then many parts of Europe looking dry, particularly through the Med and in towards France as well, and into Germany too. But for Belgium, Holland and Netherlands, in towards the UK and probably Ireland, there will be further outbreaks of rain moving in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Becoming much warmer across France, temperatures really picking up there, probably reaching around 27, 28 degrees across south of France by the end of Saturday afternoon. Perhaps a bit hotter than that into Spain, could be up to around 32, that's 90 Fahrenheit. Heading over through the rest of the Med, it's not as warm as that through the central part of the Med, but still temperatures into the low 20s Celsius, I would have thought. And then into the east part of Med, again, looking quite hot there, particularly through the Greek islands. Northwards, it gets cooler again, though, much cooler up the east side of Europe and across Scandinavia. Temperatures look pretty cold there, although the temperatures are getting a bit of a boost through Ireland and through the UK too. Right, that takes in the sunny, this deep area of low pressure and starts to move in from the Atlantic in towards west of Europe. We are putting up those warm winds from the south, however, across many parts of Europe, so temperatures will be pushing up through the weekend. We might even start to move some of that warmth on those southerly winds in towards the far northern part of Europe, actually. There's the upper air temperatures showing that temperatures are beginning to lift up across some parts of Norway and Sweden and Finland, for example, and going down into like Germany, into eastern France, in towards the Low Countries. Again, the temperatures look much, much warmer there than they have been for several weeks, or maybe even several months, actually. Cooler, though, down into southeast and eastern part of Europe, beginning to pull somewhat cooler air back in towards Ireland and the UK and the west of France, even in towards parts of northern Spain and Portugal, actually, on Sunday. So again, under that ridge, most central and eastern parts of Europe are looking dry. We're taking outbreaks of rain northwards in towards southern parts of Scandinavia. And that might turn to snow as it bumps into the cold air over mountainous areas. Wintry showers across the far north of Scandinavia. And then the west of Europe looks much more unsettled, so showers, long spells of rain through Ireland, through the UK, down through France, in towards parts of Spain and Portugal, and also into the Low Countries as well. Temperatures look like that, so obviously much warmer through these western parts of Europe than they have been for a long, long time. Through France, into the Low Countries, into Germany, possibly even up into Denmark, we could be seeing the temperature reaching like 21, 22 degrees, so much warmer than it has been. Even into UK and Ireland, it will be warmer there. Temperatures probably approaching 20 degrees, certainly for eastern parts of England, before slightly cooler air starts to move in from the Atlantic later on. Med looking pretty warm. The coldest weather is up in the far north of Europe, but even there, the temperatures are beginning to lift up slightly. Through into Monday, beginning of next week, we've got the ridge over on the east side of Europe. That's pulling warm southerly winds up the eastern side of Europe. At the same time, trough low pressure is moving in from the north and from the west. The upper air temperatures show heat pushing northwards. And I do say heat because they are impressively high, these upper air temperatures, actually pushing northwards from Africa through these eastern and central parts of Europe. At the same time, Western Europe is cooling down, but not as cold as it is at the moment. So I think next week we'll see a cool down for the west of Europe, but it shouldn't go back to the very cold temperatures that we have had recently, I wouldn't have thought. So going to be quite a bit of wet weather across western and central parts of Europe. Many east areas are looking dry in that area of high pressure. Most central areas are looking dry as well. Poland, for example, looks reasonably dry. We come into Germany and we find some heavy outbreaks of rain there, and extending down towards France. Might even be some thunderstorms mixed in, and they'll push over towards parts of northern Italy, for example, as well. Could be further showers through Spain and Portugal, and then more showers into Ireland and the UK. And then across Scandinavia, we will have outbreaks of rain. Again, they could be wintry over high ground. Temperatures look like that, pretty warm through most central and eastern areas, and even in west of Europe, although temperature is dropping down slightly early next week compared to the weekend, it will still be much closer to average than we have been for some time. Into Tuesday, and again, low pressure is dominating across many central and western parts of Europe. At the same time, high pressure is pushing northeastwards up towards west of Russia. Again, we're generally pulling up quite a lot of warm southerly air across the eastern part of Europe, looking cooler and more showery with trough of low pressure out in the west. Upper air temperatures show we've got some very warm upper air temperatures and quite hot upper air temperatures surging up through the central and some eastern parts of Europe as well. Same time, Western Europe does look cooler, but not as cold as it is this week. Lots of showers and longer spells of rain through the western part of Europe, so it looks very wet, maybe with thunderstorms across parts of northern Spain into Portugal and in towards France, possibly go up into Low Countries and into Germany as well. They can extend northwards through Denmark in towards the Scandinavian peninsula, and then out into UK and Ireland again. There could be further showers, not so longer spells of rain there, but driest weather will be across the eastern part of Europe under the ridge of high pressure. That's where hottest temperatures will be, anywhere from Poland to the Black Sea. Looks pretty warm, temperatures at least into the low 20 Celsius, maybe even higher than that, possibly mid to upper 20 Celsius in some areas such as the Adriatic coast of the Baltic and down in towards the Adriatic coast of the Balkans, I should say, and down into southern parts of Italy. But at the same time, it is cooler in the north and west Europe, but not as cold as it has been this week. I have to keep emphasising that. Through to Wednesday, low pressure is sitting over the central western parts of Europe, being very unsettled weather through there. High pressure is establishing across western parts of Russia, trying to pushing towards Scandinavia. That's bringing up warm air from the southeast, generally cooler in the north and west around this trough of low pressure. In fact, there is a big temperature contrast that's around that area of low pressure. So on the eastern side of the low, the eastern side of Europe and into northeast Europe, it's pretty warm or quite hot with those upper air temperatures. Conversely, on the western and northwestern side of that low pressure, it is quite a bit cooler with the upper air temperature. So that fuels the low pressure, of course, and that fuels precipitation. It looks very wet across parts of Germany and into western Poland, but extending up into Denmark as well. Got some torrential rain through there. Showery conditions, again, further westwards through France, towards the UK. Some showers down into Portugal and all parts of Spain as well. Scandinavia looking quite showery. I think that going more and more towards rain as we go through next week, as we lose those cold upper air temperatures. And many east and southeast parts are looking pretty dry. Mediterranean-wise, a lot of dry weather, really, through many parts of there. Temperature-wise, east-west split, so the hottest upper air temperatures across eastern, north, or hottest temperatures, surface temperatures across east and northeast parts of Europe, coolest temperatures in the north and in the west too. Through to Thursday, again, this area of low pressure dominating through the central and western parts of Europe, maybe backing westwards a little bit towards France and the UK at the same time. High pressure dominates over Scandinavia and back into western parts of Russia. Upper air temperatures generally looking a lot warmer across most parts of the continent through to the second half of next week. Look at all this rain we've got, though, through Germany, down into France, and some of that pushing back in towards the UK as well. A little bit unsure about this at the moment. Quite unusual for low pressure to go against the zonal flow, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. But it certainly looks very unsettled anyway next week across many parts of Europe with showers or long spells of rain. Some of that wet weather is even pushing down into the central bowl of the Mediterranean at this point. Hottest temperatures are in the far north and northeast of Europe and southeast Europe too next week, next Thursday. Coolest out in west. Obviously, where we've got that torrential rain, temperatures will be suppressed. I'll just run you on today 10. So the general idea is to keep high pressure towards Scandinavia and northern parts of Europe on Friday. Low pressure across central western areas, and that continues, into day 10, which takes us to 16th of May. Looking generally quite unsettled through central and western areas. Driest probably across northern Europe under the high pressure. I'm trying to pull some hot air in towards southern parts of Europe, particularly down towards Spain as well, trying to get some heat out of Africa, but how successful that is remains to be seen. Right, so I think we'll see things warming up across most parts of Europe where it has, currently has been, and currently is really cold at the moment, really cold for time of year. I think we will see things warming up next week. So we are coming out of the coldest phase now, I think, of this spring. But nevertheless, this will involve quite a lot of low pressure. It's going to involve quite a lot of rain. So we're probably just going to go from dryish and cold conditions to warmer but also wetter conditions, or maybe just cold rain to warm rain, really across many parts of Europe. But anyway, the temperature should be getting a little bit of a boost next week, because it has been very, very cold across many parts of Europe over the past few weeks and months. So a recovery in temperature, but unsettled. Right, so that's it for European Outlook for this week. We'll do it all over again. Next week, we're going to be back later on to 10 to 14 day, which will include all the regular features. Come back for that then. For this week's European Outlook, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.